Stu and Dave Do America present Alexa versus a big wet one.
Hey Alexa, I want you to fart for me.
I think you just whispered to me. From now on, when you whisper, I will whisper back.
Oh, you're
You can
dirty.
always turn off whisper
God.
mode.
Oh my God, Alexa,
I'd rather.
fart for me.
Okay, here's big fart.
Oh shit.
That was a deep one.
Oh yeah.
Shall I play another fart sound?
Yeah, give me another one. Come on.
That was
Oh no.
Oh my God. That was
Mine
disturbing.
only while it yells at me.
This is an incredibly disturbing way to start a show.
Why? It's just facts.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true.
I like that he's in a robe. Also, this is a great way, just so people know, to save money on sex robots in the future. You already have one at home, and it will whisper to you and fart.
Yes, which are the two things you want from a sex robot.
They're the two things you want during sex, farting and whispering.
As I said, this is a very disturbing way to start a show. I will
Yes.
say it's a fitting way
Welcome.
to start a show that's about Graham Platner. So let's do Graham Platner's sexting controversy. Welcome to Stu and Dave Do America. I'm Stu Bergier, along with Dave Landau.
Ahoy, we meet again.
We certainly do. Go to davelandau.com, get your tickets to see Dave nationwide. I also want to thank, tens of thousands of you for popping over to our live streams this week over on Predictable. It's youtube.com/@PredictableShow, show about prediction markets and elections, and of course at PredictableShow.com. And of course, join us on Blaze TV. Can't forget about that. BlazeTV.com/Stu and Dave. We would love to have you as part of the team. Stu and Dave is the code. You will save $20 off your subscription. And I guess you could apply that money to all sorts of various sexting apps that you need to be members of. That's what Graham...
Or one Amazon, whatever the Alexa thing that I don't like having in my house. And now it's even more justifiable just by the first clip.
How many have you ordered since we aired that clip?
3.
Okay, perfect. Makes a lot of sense.
One for 2 bathrooms in my home and one for the local bathroom at the gas station near my house.
Good. You're there that much, really?
Well, pretty often.
Yeah, I can see that. Graham Platner. Graham Platner is a politician, sort of. He's a guy who's running as this, anti-establishment guy in Maine against Susan Collins, an election coming up. It's an important election for the Senate. Graham Platner's had his share of controversy. He has a bit of an issue, Dave, with a Nazi tattoo. Not suboptimal for your political career normally, but seems to be helping him.
It was right on his chest, like Ed Norton in American History X. Not the best place to put it. But in fairness, he did cover it in some kind of a dragon, which actually looks worse than a Nazi tattoo.
It's true. I think I'd be more comfortable voting for him with the Nazi tattoo than the dragon Nazi tattoo. Feels like
somehow it's worse.
If the Nazis had dragons, it would have made the whole situation much worse.
That's true. Fire-breathing lizards do always make situations a little worse, and they probably would have won the war.
Gosh, you're right. That's true. They were trying to invent those missiles the entire time. Wouldn't have needed them if they had dragons. So Thanks for bringing that into our life, Graham. Also, thank you for bringing this into our lives. He's been sexting people. Graham Platner's wife flagged sexually explicit texts to his Senate campaign. Now, you might think of like a typical sexting controversy. I don't know. You're married for 15, 20 years or something, long relationship.
Yes, look, this was a long time ago, Stu. This was last summer.
Yes.
And I think clearly people make mistakes.
How old were you, Dave, back in 2025? Can you even remember?
Gosh, I don't even know. Young, dumb, and full of the word. And I just can't even tell you how many times I was just sexting every intern everyone I walked by at the Blaze. I said, "Are you an intern?" They would say yes. and I would sex them randomly.
This is, of course, why you're doing the show in Michigan today. If a
That's
restraining
correct.
order.
There's a very heavy lawsuit pending.
I will say, too, in case you're wondering, in case you're new to the show, Dave stopping halfway through that phrase was Dave Landau's restraint. That's when Dave's being restrained. He stops before the very last word of a very offensive phrase.
I was doing my best.
That's great. No, you're doing great, Dave. You're doing great. And, our boy Graham Platner's doing great, too. He's turned his life around, Dave. This, you think of like the standard affair story, right? You have this long relationship. Things maybe get a little stale. You think of the Pina Colada song, for example. Things,
right?
He wanted
where two terrible adulterers find each other in a restaurant and go, "Oh, you're also a scumbag."
Yeah,
it's good we're together.
Yeah, I was listening to that song this past weekend, Dave. I was at a pool, and they were playing the Pina Colada song, which is a song you might hear by the pool. And as I was listening to it, I really just do not understand what's happened in this relationship. He seems to be saying things like, I don't. First of all, he doesn't want anyone who's in shape. He doesn't want anyone who's doing yoga or has health food. Those things are off the table for this guy. He only wants people who are fat, out of shape slobs like us, apparently. And then he requests these things of this woman he's doing an ad for, which is like, hey, I don't, I want someone who is not into yoga, has half a brain, insinuating his current partner doesn't have those things, right? Like,
she's very in shape. She doesn't like to drink girl drinks like he does because he loves pina coladas.
Yeah, and
he likes to be in a wet t-shirt a lot because he enjoys being caught in the rain.
Yes, and he requests these things like, I have someone in my life. She doesn't do any of this crap for me. Here's my ad. I want the exact opposite. And then his wife responds to the ad and says, I also don't want to be the person I am. I want to be a totally different person, and responds with all the things that he's requesting in the first place. None of it makes any sense, Dave. I'm very disappointed in the authors of the song.
It's just not a good song. No. And then they meet up, and in reality, that's not how that would go.
How would it go in reality?
I think in reality, the woman would be like, yeah, I knew it was you the whole time, and I'm just here to bust you.
Yes.
And you'd be like, no, I'm not. You're a liar. You just responded to this ad, and that's why you're here. And it's like, no, I'm here with papers. And it's like, you don't have half a brain. And it would be a real mess. It would probably end in a murder-suicide, and it wouldn't be called the Pina Colada song.
No. There would be things splattered all over the walls, but it wouldn't be a pineapple coconut drink.
No, it's a terrible song, and no one should like it. And I don't even know. I always forget what is it? I want to make love to you in the, what is it? The
Dunes of the Cape, I believe it is.
Yeah. What is it?
The Dunes of the Cape, I believe is the.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
I mean, if sandy hills. I mean, it's a lot of sand going in all places you don't want it.
That's another problem. That's what you want. You want a sandy crack, sugary drinks. You're covered. It's been raining on you all day. This is what you want in a relationship. Maybe you're both just awful.
Yeah, I think that is the answer. By the way, I will say I could see a Dave Landau version of the Pina Colada song to the story of Graham Platner. I feel like there's real future potentially in that, because this story is a bizarre one. It was not a long relationship that eventually got a little tame, and maybe they wanted to write a Pina Colada song to get out of it. This is Amy Gertner, who is the wife. She married Platner in 2023. So this is, again, they've only been together for like a year and a half at the point that he gets caught sexting other women. She told the campaign about the messages she had found earlier in their marriage in the spring of 2025. In late August, some of the aides were conducting opposition research on their own candidate. This happens all the time in these campaigns. You basically have to vet your own candidate. You say, hey, look, I know this is personal stuff, but like, what are we going to find? What is the opposition going to find out about your husband? She said, well, he's been sexting tons of women on these apps. And, she apparently told this to one of the aides, who then has now kind of come out and made it more public after being fired during a previous controversy about the Nazi tattoo. So again, this all comes back to don't get a Nazi tattoo.
Well, correct. They also had a very lovely press conference where he looks at his wife and says, "You know, we love each other very much." And she looks like he's holding a gun to her back or that she's rigged with dynamite ready to explode. It couldn't look more fraudulent if they tried.
It really was awkward. Platner has recently faced disclosures about controversial posts from his now deleted Reddit account, including comments about his account playing down sexual assault, crude posts about sex workers and masturbation. Fine. Platner has already admitted to having
typical political stuff.
Yep. And of course, he covered up his Nazi link tattoo with a dragon. This is new information, though, Dave. Platner also has an active account on Kik, which is spelled K-I-K, a apparently popular private messaging app. I'm from everything I've read about it, it seems to be popular among child predators. I don't know that it's popular among anyone else in the world except child predators, but they essentially have no moderation, so this is where child predators go to message children without moderation.
Oh, that's fun. So at least there's an app for it, and you can go on and sign in your real name like a complete moron, and the guy actually did it.
It does seem that way. His profile shows a mirror selfie of him.
Sorry, just pictured the kids Kik cereal. That's
no association. No association.
Could you get a worse human being? I don't know. Maybe you could.
Well, maybe it could, but honestly, when we start the conversation of worst human beings, we usually kind of go to Nazis, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a worse Nazi. Maybe he's not the worst Nazi of all the Nazis, Dave. How about that for an argument for his candidacy?
Well, he claims that he picked the tattoo randomly out of a book when he was drunk. And it's like, no, you didn't. And even if you did, that was the one you went to. You're like, I don't know, this one with the skull and the swastikas really speaks to me.
It does say quite a bit about him. So does the Kik account, by the way.
That says more.
Yeah. Platner's profile shows a mirror selfie of him, shirtless with a towel wrapped around his waist. Many of his tattoos are clearly visible in the picture. It's interesting the way the Wall Street Journal writes that up, because have you seen this photo by any chance, Dave? Have you seen
Yes, it looks like a before pic for any weight loss ad.
It does. It's not a great picture, but the phone, they do that thing where you kind of point the phone and it's kind of like covering your face or whatever. He didn't do it to cover his face. He used it to cover his Nazi tattoo, which indicates he knew it was a Nazi tattoo the entire time.
Yes, he doesn't mind showing his terrible body. The one thing that he does want to hide, though, is the fact that he has a very racist tattoo on his chest.
Kids don't like the Nazi tattoos, Dave. When you're trying to hook up with that 13-year-old, you got to make sure they don't know your vicious European right-wing history.
No, he's probably like, what are the kids into? Harry Potter? Does that involve dragons? I'm going to head on back down to the tattoo studio and get me a dragon.
Now, we've said a lot of bad things about Graham Platner so far. Nazi tattoos, potentially hooking up with children. But I'm about to tell you the worst part about the story. The worst part about Graham Platner. This is the part that's going to turn your stomach more than anything else in this story. So if you have children nearby, I would tell them to maybe, certainly you should have turned this off a long time ago. What are you doing? But beyond that, let me tell you this part of the story. The Wall Street Journal verified the account on the app, a messaging platform that's been widely used for sexual encounters. The account listed with his user ID. The user ID, Dave, the worst part of the story is P Hustle 0331.
What? Is it Fussle?
I don't know if it's Fussle or if it's P Hustle. I just find it so cringe inducing. And then the part that he was like, you know what? I'm so locked in to P Hustle. I don't care that 330 other people have taken it. We're 0331. We're P Hustle 0331. It makes me have chills that I don't want to describe.
Douche chills. But the thing that bothers me the most about it is that there were that many people going P Hustle. That's
really good.
That's a sweet, sweet name. I guess I'll settle for 331 if I have to.
Oh God, it's so terrible.
As long as I can get P Hustle or Fussle.
Fussle.
Because I'm here to cause a fussle.
It's so irritating. Now he is a man's man. As you know, this is the pitch for this campaign, Dave. I don't know how closely you follow this, primary in Maine. Probably only complete losers do. But this, one of the central recruits, the biggest recruit for the Democratic Party leading into this primary season was Janet Mills, the somewhat popular governor of Maine, who was seen as a real challenger to Susan Collins. And then this guy, Graham Platner, comes out of nowhere. He becomes popular seemingly because of his Nazi tattoo. I won't point out the fact that the Democratic Party also put a literal Al-Qaeda operative in as one of their nominees in New Jersey on Tuesday. That actually did happen. A guy who was friends with the blind sheik, the World Trade Center bomber. He went over and then worked for an Al-Qaeda front organization, and now he's a Democratic House nominee. That is a real story we didn't even bother covering because everything's so screwed up.
Not even stunned.
No, not even stunned. But, you put a guy with a Nazi tattoo, I think it actually may have helped him. Now he's this weird pervert doing God knows what, and it's because he's a man's man. That's the pitch here. He, I guess, shoots guns. He was in the military. He lifts weights. I don't know what he does, but he's the vision of masculinity, Dave. I guess that's what we're supposed to believe.
Well, yes, there's nothing I think more masculine than having a swastika tattooed on you and a children's. Why even explain it? They even tried to interview him too about the toxic masculinity that he had, that he was kind of representing, which the Democratic Party didn't care for.
Yes,
which is probably why he said, "Well, now hang on, I do have an account for children." And they were like, "Oh, good. As long as you're a minor, as long as you're a MAP, we can totally understand." And good. Mm-hmm. I was worried we weren't able to vote for you, but now that we know you're a complete piece of garbage, there's a chance you might still have.
He fits it perfectly with a lot of the people in the party, apparently. By the way, you mentioned this question about masculinity. He was asked about this. We have this video. Here was his response.
Well, describe the masculinity that you represent.
I think it's just a healthy form of it.
Good.
Which is, look, I lift weights. I shoot guns. My background is obviously in the military. I work outside. Most of my hobbies are things that people tend to associate with, like, manly stuff, I guess. At the exact same time, I go to therapy. I have a very open sort of dialogue and emotional relationship with my wife. I work incredibly hard to put myself in places where I share space with folks who have very different outlooks or backgrounds as me, and then open up to the idea that their lived experience is exactly as valid as mine. And that kind of thing throughout my life has really been the most educational thing that's ever happened to me. Even on this campaign, I have interacted with more people in the past 9 months than I think I might have interacted with my entire life beforehand. That is educational. When you are willing to be open and accepting, when you're willing to not just immediately get defensive about things and understand that, like, you may have preconceived notions, you may have ways of speaking, you may have ideas that when you interact with other folks, they inform you that either you're wrong or maybe what you're saying is hurtful and harmful. And then instead of getting angry about it, you understand it and you engage. That, I think, is incredibly manly. The idea to be open, the idea to be vulnerable.
The idea that when you're 7 and 4 no's and a yes is a yes.
That was...
The idea that I can join you on an app and ask what time your parents' work schedule is. The idea that I can walk into any tattoo parlor and find an Aryan skull and tell them where on my body to put them. I'm also in therapy, which is court-ordered, because I want to avoid being chemically castrated for the sins that I've committed. Men.
It's so creepy.
Everything he says, it's just a contradiction of the first part.
Yes. Yeah, he's trying to sell this to like a liberal media member that it's okay to be masculine, and his ideas are I go to therapy and I'm vulnerable and I have an open conversation with my wife, which I think he may have translated as an open relationship with my wife, which is a different thing than the open conversation you have with your wife. You're not just
that's what
cheating
he
on her all the
wants
time.
people to think that he meant. But she knows, but she didn't know about it.
No.
I have very open conversations with my wife about what. Dinner, not the endless sex that I have on my personal phone.
I love too I think I've met more people in the last month than I have in my life. What the hell kind of weird flex is that? They don't usually stop by the Unabomber shed that I have. This guy's weird, man.
When you just click on every face you see on an online thing, you meet a lot of people.
You do. I meet a lot of kids at Chuck E. Cheese.
I mean, when I sit outside of an elementary school in a tree, just staring with binoculars, I meet a lot of people. Mainly police officers and parents that are pointing at me. I've met a lot of them in the last month.
I also meet a lot of people who work the cash register at Carter's Kids.
Where I like to go to secondhand baby stores and smell the clothes. And I meet a lot of people that ask me to leave. It's quite exciting. It's a bit of a thrill.
Oh God, this guy's gonna give us endless material for the next 5 months. I can't wait. All right, let's take a quick break. I want to come back on the other side. We have a lot more. I don't know. Do you think voters are going to actually buy this and stick with this guy? Can he actually win an election with all of his creepiness? We'll talk about that next. I think we've all had an experience like this. Someone says, hey, I've got a guy. But then half the time, their guy turns out to be a cousin or a former roommate or someone they met at a barbecue 7 years ago, which is fine when you're talking about maybe getting a ceiling fan installed, maybe, until your house burns down. It's a little less comforting when you're talking about a transaction worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's one of the reasons I like realestateagentsitrust.com, because whether you're buying or selling a home, you don't need somebody's nephew who's thinking about getting into real estate. What you need is an agent who does this for a living, who knows the local market, who understands negotiation, who communicates well, has a track record of actual success. Realestateagentsitrust.com was built to help connect people with agents who have already proven themselves to be incredibly effective. So instead of crossing your fingers and hoping for the right person, you can move forward with a little more confidence. When you're making one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make in your entire life, confidence is worth quite a bit. Go to realestateagentsitrust.com. It's realestateagentsitrust.com. This is a free service to you, by the way. Check it out, realestateagentsitrust.com. I do a show called Predictable with Stu. It's we use prediction markets, try to understand elections and different events, predict what's going to happen, and hopefully profit off of them. I will say, if I was required to predict where the John Fetterman story would go, I would not have been correct. Honestly, he kind of struck me as very strange, and I thought he was going to be a complete nightmare. I couldn't believe he won. It was one of the election predictions I did get wrong that election cycle, because I don't know if you remember that debate. He was a complete catastrophe in the debate. I'm like, there's no way they could elect
first,
this guy.
Sure.
Yeah. But they did. They brought him in. And then since then, while he is I still disagree with him on most of the things that he believes, he's been like the lone voice of sanity on the left, pointing out really common sense, normal things.
Yes, and I do like when someone sticks to what they believe in, because at least there's a level of authenticity to that, and he doesn't seem to veer away from it unless he's genuinely changed his mind and has logic behind it or reason behind it.
Yeah, again, I would have been totally wrong on the prediction on this one.
I thought he needed bolts in his neck, and if I did not expect any of this to go the way that it did, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for the guy that I did not have when he first came on the scene.
Yeah, no, I have to admit it. It's one of those, it's really surprising. And one of the things that you don't see anymore, I think it's basically on, it's a both sides issue at some level. I think it's worse on the left, but there used to be this, Bill Clinton famously had this Sister Souljah moment. That's what people would always refer to it as in his campaign, where he was basically calling out his own side and saying, like, look, on the left, but these people are crazy, and that's not who we are. And that has completely evaporated from politics, basically, on both sides, except for John Fetterman, who just continually keeps having moments like this when people on his side are wrong. He doesn't mind calling them out. Fetterman calls Graham Platner a creep after reports of extramarital sexting. Kind of a good explanation, honestly. Now, I will say, when you look at the two pictures, you might, if you don't know who they are, you might think the guy in the hoodie is the creep. I don't know why. It just seems like he looks like a creep. But he's not acting.
Assume.
Yes.
Well, Frankenstein has always been protective of children, as has Sloth from Goonies.
That's true.
And that's another reason to like Fetterman more than I've already forgotten his name, and because we won't need to know it. He's not going to go anywhere.
I hope you're right. Graham Platner.
The Graham Platner Project.
Yes. This is what Fetterman said. He said, when I was growing up, if someone had a clear Nazi tattoo on them, you could probably conclude they're a Nazi sympathizer. Yes, that is kind of the way that works. He said, he of course mentioned a bunch of Platner's more incendiary posts. He said, are you going to continue to defend that or dismiss that? Fetterman also laid into Platner for reportedly having an account on the messaging app Kik with the username phustle0331. And he goes, oh, P Hustle or Fussle, Fetterman said, what kind of creeper has been on a platform like Kik and send a dozen explicit kinds of messages to, and who knows what else. So that's, I like it. I like that. Fetterman does seem like the type of guy that just blurts things out. And I do appreciate that, at least when there's some sanity out there, Dave.
Well, yeah, I believe he had a stroke, or they thought he had one, if I remember correctly. And I don't know, there's some people who sometimes get a stroke and it makes them more honest. Something just gets rattled loose, and I think it may have benefited him. And I don't mean that in any sort of a critical way. I just mean that I like people like that, where they lose
Stroke
some
victims.
kind of a filter, and I like it.
You're a big stroke victim fan.
I'm a big fan of stroke victims. Not all the way where you have to feed them, but just enough to when they speak, it's funny.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes it much better.
That's where you have to ruin a whole day visiting them.
Right. You're not going to care for them in any way. Make their lives
not when you
better.
have to give them applesauce and scream and remind them of who you are.
Right.
They keep thinking you're their husband who died 30 years prior. It's a whole thing.
It is a whole thing. So will voters in Maine excuse all this? Because this, first of all, I'll say this, Dave. We've watched enough political scandal over the years.
Yeah.
This is not the end of the story. Like you just don't have a Nazi tattoo, get caught cheating a year into your marriage, have messaging, explicit messages on child messaging apps, and then that was it. There's always more. We at some point we're going to get the texts, the actual words that he texted, and they're going to be horrible. We're going to have 3 or 4 other women come out and say he did something terrible to them. These things always lead to more. And if you were smart, if you were a Democrat right now, you'd pull the plug on this. You'd go running back to Janet Mills and say, please, Miss 80-year-old woman, just come here and don't do anything creepy, because you still have time if you're a Democrat to get out of this.
Well, it's like Anthony Weiner. You can't seem to get rid of him, even though you get the feeling that he shows a picture of his dong every time he sees a cashier at Whole Foods. It's just something that he does. It's just part of his daily habit. So, no, I don't think they're as easy to get rid of, because the bar has been set so incredibly low that unless you're actually incarcerated, even then you still pop up, but you have to actually be locked away, basically in the hole, in order to be kept away from society. So it won't be the last we hear from him, but I'm not sure if he's going to be forgiven to the point that he can win an election.
Yeah, no, Anthony Weiner is a perfect example, Dave. This is exactly what happens because you get someone who's this weird, who's this creepy, who's lied about it this many times. And what do they try to do with him? They tried to get him to run for mayor. They tried to get him to run for another office. They continually kept putting him in everybody's faces thinking, okay, well, we got all that out of the way. It's all priced in now. At the end of the day, it's never priced in because these guys keep doing it. I mean, he was continually sexting young girls after all the scandals had passed because they've got something wrong with them, right? Like there's some addiction problem. There's some weird thing going on in their lives. They're creeps, as Fetterman put it. And, when you're a guy that's this creepy and you've come out of nowhere where no one knew who you were 6 months ago, you have to be terrified by these developments if you're in the Democratic Party.
Well, you would assume, but I think there's this addiction where and perversion where the consequences that you think are going to happen aren't nearly as bad as what they should have been. So then you just continue with this same toxic pattern of behavior. Not, and not to overanalyze it, but it is in fact true. I think it's very true of people in that elite class, especially when they still have people supporting them and telling them, "No, it's all right. We still have your back." I mean, if you're found on a platform like Kick and it is exactly what you say it is, you should completely be out of any sort of leadership role, no matter what. Even if that's at your local YMCA or chairing a meeting, anything. You shouldn't be involved in that unless it's chairing an SA meeting. I can't really think of anything else you should be doing. So really, I don't think that you will see the end of him because he's going to keep coming out. He's going to keep bringing his wife at knife point and pretending that she knew about it the whole time. And it's just going to be worse and worse optics. But I don't see him completely going away. I just don't see him getting the position that he wants.
Well, voters seem to be basically agree with you. They're all making excuses for him. This is CBS interviewing people about Graham Platner.
I'll probably, grit my teeth and vote for him because, I'm a Democrat.
Many voters in Maine tell us Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner's latest controversy will not change their vote.
I probably wasn't going to vote for him anyway.
I can separate what somebody's doing in their personal life and the mistakes or whatever that they've done from how they run politically.
I don't think any differently about him since that story came out.
I feel like they're reaching a lot because they can't find anything wrong with his policy, really.
Yeah, it's really hard to find anything wrong with his communist policies. It's really difficult it's a real brain teaser to find any issues with Graham Platner's policies. Give me a freaking break.
Well, the first two they interview just look like child molesters or Moby. And then the third one, they're like, let's just get a black chick. And then the last guy, they're like, you look like a very effeminate He-Man.
Yeah, it's funny, too. When I looked at him initially, I thought he was wearing a Che Guevara shirt. I don't think it was, but it looked just like a Che Guevara shirt.
Yeah, like these four people look like they're going to give us the exact answer we need for this story.
Yes, which is, of course, the goal.
Look, I don't think it's like seriously, you just found a black woman to go, look, it doesn't change my mind that he has a swastika tattoo. It doesn't?
Really? It should. Do you know that it should?
It should with you the most.
Yes. Like the most change should happen from the moment before you knew he had a Nazi tattoo and the moment after it. Last couple things here. Again, speaking of Nazi tattoos, here's a defense from Chuck Schumer. Schumer says he met with Platner. He reiterated, that he endorsed Platner, but dodged questions about whether the revelations concern him. There's a drip that's actually happening, and that's true. The drip is what's happening with all the releases of Platner's weird text messages. But he says it's instead that this is Gallego saying this. Food is still high. They can't buy a home. You can't afford rent. No one's going to care about text messages or anything like that. That's happened years ago. A year ago, especially when it was worked out between spouses. I will say this is the same guy that was the political mentor to Eric Swalwell. So what the heck else would you expect him to say?
Yes, and also Chuck Schumer looks like a Nazi propaganda drawing. Why is he on this guy's side? Doesn't he?
No, I don't know.
Yes, he does. You know he does.
I suppose I don't know.
He does.
He does.
He does a little.
You'd think he'd be sensitive to defending Nazis in leadership in the United States. You'd think a priority of Chuck Schumer might be keep Nazis out of the Senate, but even that is not enough for these people.
That's all I'm saying. You'd think his position would be anti-Nazi, and even in this case, he's going, no, I have a grill to turn on to cook raw meat. I'm not paying much attention.
It's true.
And by not turn on, I mean not turn on. I just have a photo up because I don't know how to barbecue, let alone run anything.
Well, it is a disgraceful group of people, and Platner honestly would fit in perfectly. I have to say, he would fit in perfectly with the Democrats in the Senate. It's a match made in heaven.
Everything is just so rah my team. They don't care what it destroys, and it just shows that, especially in this case. He's obviously not fit to run anything, so why bother with it?
It's absolutely disgraceful. Okay, we have a story of a judge who's making a little noise in their office. And the investigation into what was causing that noise is intriguing. We'll have that story next. I want to give you the story about this judge in a second, Dave, but before we leave the politics thing, we have a James Tallarico update. This is the guy who's running for Senate against Ken Paxton here in Texas.
Okay.
Because usually what happens, if let's say a Senate candidate has an affair with a staffer, what you're trying to do is hide that. You don't want that information to come out.
Sure. That's what's best for the campaign.
Normally. I'm wondering if this is the case here. Tallarico apparently facing questions about his relationship with a former staffer and an abortion lobbyist. He is now, the rumors are that he had this relationship. It's based on public records, social media posts, and legislative employment histories. The woman has been identified as Brianna Menard, former top aide, worked in Tallarico's office before becoming a lobbyist for abortion. What's interesting here is just knowing the dynamics of this campaign. What are the odds that they intentionally are telling people, we swear he had a relationship with a woman? I think
they are. They're doing it so he seems heterosexual.
Yeah. I think that might actually be what's happening here, because nobody believes he's like, I have a girlfriend, and nobody in the state believes him.
Yeah, where'd you meet her? He's like, summer camp. You wouldn't know her.
She's from another town.
Yeah.
It does feel that way. The name is also happened to be on a poster behind the person interviewing him about the girlfriend.
He's like, Wendy Glass.
Wendy Frosty?
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah, she's awesome. So I don't know. That's an interesting new strategy. I think leaking your affairs for someone like Tallarico might actually wind up being a positive.
That's true. This is where the strategy could go a different way. We were like, no, he's a man's man.
A man's
he likes
man.
ladies. And not a man's man who likes men. A man's man who likes women.
Right. That's what he means. And by the way, he's very, very masculine. He goes to therapy and he cares about being vulnerable.
Yes, he loves being vulnerable.
Just how all men are. Now, there was another affair I wanted to talk to you about here.
Sure.
A judge who's married. She, her name is Eleanor Ross. She was appointed by President Obama, confirmed by the Senate in 2014. She's 58 years old. She was in her chambers, and someone was outside with their phone recording what was heard in the hallways. We have the video. This is what it sounded like. Oh my God, that's way worse than I thought it was going to be.
She's got her curtains open. That is, so she's just getting railed in her chambers.
That's apparently what was happening. She was having an affair with a police officer.
Oh, good.
And which, of course, is great for our justice system, I'm sure. And she was, I mean, that's not like, that is not a situation where you're trying to hide it, but you can't hide it. That's just like you're letting it go. That is full. She's just screaming like a lunatic.
She's faking it loudly. You don't have to. Why would you loudly fake it? There's no way that's authentic. I've never heard anything like, look, come on. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Do you want to expand?
What's he using, his nightstick?
I mean, honestly, if I heard that in the hallway, I would assume someone was assaulting her.
I would assume she was getting pepper sprayed.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a terrible experience. It
doesn't sound like lovemaking. It sounds like she's being chased around by somebody who got out of his cuffs.
Yeah, it does. And it seems like she should have assistance from someone to help her because someone's in the middle of murdering her. And it does not at all sound like and it honestly seems like something that maybe they wanted to get caught. I don't know. Did she think she installed soundproofing in her office? I can't even explain that. It's bizarre.
Yeah, you're a judge, but you can't even have the judgment to keep it down in your office. She has, what an idiot. This is why maybe we should just have robots judge everything.
Yeah.
What difference does it make? I would rather go in front of a robo judge than these people.
Yes. They bring, I mean, that's just pathetic. Like you're in the middle of it, in the middle of daytime. I guess the person who filmed this wrote, the corrupt judge who couldn't focus on our case because she was too busy clapping dem cheeks in her chambers. It's a great phrase.
That's lawyer jargon for sex.
Oh, it is. Okay. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't go to law school, so
yeah. The whole thing just sounds classy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole establishment just sounds like an episode of Matlock.
They say she needs to be impeached, and they will work with Congress and our legal team to make sure that this happens. That's tough. I got to say, it's hard to have any authority in your courtroom after that. She should be impeached. If that's what you're doing in your courtroom in between cases, you need to get a new gig, potentially on OnlyFans.
Yeah, she definitely needs to be taken out of her position. Well, she needs to be put in a new position. She needs to, her current position.
You're never going to get to a safe one.
There's no way I can say this without it sounding extremely sexual.
Yes, and please don't go down the next road of jobs because that's not going to turn out well.
It's not going to help either. That's why I was thinking the exact same thing. And jobs and positions is something that she shouldn't hold.
Sometimes,
in fact, she's holding a lot of things she shouldn't be holding.
That's true. I will say sometimes you just get to that point where you just think you can't get there from here, and we should just move on. And go
to be honest, I just think maybe if she had a mouthful, it would benefit her in that moment. It's the first time maybe a judge should be quiet in her chambers.
That's very true. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back on the other side with your comments next. Join us on Blaze TV. That's where we do the show every day. BlazeTV.com/Stu and Dave. If you use the code Stu and Dave, you will save $20 off your annual subscription. Well worth the money, I will say. You get all the shows, all the access, the insider access stuff that we have, and all sorts of other great stuff, including the written stuff that we have on the website. It's a great deal, and I think well worth your money. BlazeTV.com/Stu and Dave. Also, you can find me over at PredictableShow.com. We have a Substack there where I was looking for prediction market opportunities to make you a little extra cash. Also, if you go to YouTube at Predictable Show, you can watch the show on a day-to-day basis. We do it. We covered the elections this week. We did pretty well on those. Made a little bit of extra scratch, which was nice as well. And, of course, we have Dave Landau all over the nation, Dave, here in the next coming weeks. Do you have your gigs in front of you?
I'll tell you what I do. That's Friday. You can see me in Lexington, Michigan at the Lexington Village Theater. The Little Rock Looney Bin. You can see me June 11 through 13. Comedy Mothership coming up. And also Huntsville, Alabama, July 10 and 11 at Levity Live. And then also I want to say with Ted Nugent at the Rock Michigan Red Fest, that's in Farwell, Michigan, July 26th. Come out to that show. It's me and the Nuge, as they call him. We're going to journey to the center of your mind.
DaveLandau.com for tickets.